So what's the kind of talent that we need in manufacturing?
I think most of the students assume that being technically sound is enough. If you know how businesses work, do you take ownership? Can you make decisions? What about soft skills? Soft skills is an area where we have seen most of the students lacking.
All organizations are like a pyramid. There is lesser space at the top, and therefore what is seen in most organizations is an all-rounder would have the best chance to move to the top.
Most of the parents don't know what is automation and what is smart manufacturing. So that's where we start this conversation with.
Good afternoon. I have Dr. Hemal Desai and I have Mr. Sandeep Redkar with me. Welcome to both of you in this edition of NAMTalks.
It's a pleasure.
Thank you. What's the kind of talent that India should produce? For example, I'll just say this, that do we need more people on the design side of, say, products or semiconductors? What's the kind of talent that we need in automotive or EV? So what are your thoughts on the job roles or the, the specialization that will be required?
So when we interview students, I think most of the students assume that being technically sound is enough. Okay, when you are entering into an engineering industry, being technically sound is enough, but that's not the case. There are many other things which companies look at
Yeah.
or companies need besides the the technical capability of the individual. Example is, let's say if you know how businesses work, okay, uh, do you take ownership? Okay, can you make decisions? What is about interpersonal skills? What about soft skills? Soft skills is an area where we have seen most of the students lacking. Okay, especially communications, oral as well as written communications. This is the weakest area of students, and we feel that if they really spend some time on the non-technical part, okay, that will really be good for them. So from a mindset perspective, please keep in mind there are many other things to succeed in industry besides only be technically capable.
But what is good about them?
Good about them is that they know a lot of things. They are aware about lot of things,
Okay.
which probably sometimes even we are taken by surprise.
Yeah. Mr. Redkar, how was your experience?
So I would definitely agree with Hemal on that specific aspect about the communication skills. So we have had, in our past experience, engineers who were brilliant in terms of what they could accomplish on the technical front, but would never make a progression through the organizational hierarchy because whosoever is wanting to promote them would always mentally put them in the picture of that particular elevation, interacting with the globals, and then finding out that that person just can't communicate or otherwise connect with those people, right? Communication isn't all about talking English. It's also about your mannerism, the way you can culturally mix with them,
True.
be a part of their team
Correct.
without creating any confusion over there. So all those capabilities are something that are evaluated by our own managers before somebody can be elevated and people have suffered because of that.
Yeah.
And people don't even realize that, nobody even tells them. So that is one of the aspects that I saw in NAMTECH, which is really positive, that this is something that's really killing the capabilities, you might say, or stifling the capabilities of our young generation. That's my thing. The other thing that he referred to very appropriately was the know-how and the attitude that the new generation carries.
Yeah. Which is something that we are really trying to inculcate. Just this week, our students went out on a meta skills offsite. The idea was, like you said, to bring in a shift in attitude, to bring in that spirit of teamwork and collaboration. India is a large country. You may have grown up in a city which was far away from many places in India, right? How do you now work with a student who comes from a state which is diametrically opposite to yours geographically? How do you stay in a place which is offering you food which you have not been used to? So these are things that we try to bring out in our meta skills program, and I think students also enjoy them. So what do you have to say about engineers, and how do they learn about the business aspect overall so that they can add value and they can understand the demands of the organization from day one? So what's your take on
Shall I
that?
take that? Yeah. So, having lived this life,
Yeah.
I might say, I now, in retrospect, understand what was it that I missed in terms of the specific point that you mentioned.
Yeah.
So, for an engineer, not only is it important to understand how this problem could have been probably addressed technically in a better way, but to be able to convey to others what is that better way, how it would give enduring value in terms of business to the business, so that that particular implementation would be funded by the people who hold the purses.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And the engineers of my generation specifically miss that orientation. Only a few who probably did a kind of management course and understood how this kind of stuff are to be presented could learn to do that over a period of time. But I would assume that I would want that every engineer understands how to put forth the business outcome of the great technical idea that he has in front of the entire hierarchy, and be appreciated for that, and then supported and funded for implementation of that. That's how the careers grow.
Correct.
And that is something that I found in our generation lacking. I hope that the new generation actually absorbs these skills right up front,
Yeah.
so that they can advance much faster.
Dr. Desai?
Yeah, so to understand business is very important, and no businesses can work without customers.
Yeah.
So this is the most important thing for any technical, non-technical person working in industry has to understand. This entire ecosystem can work only if there's a customer. And if you don't know what the customer wants, and if you are not able to give him the experience which today we can get with Amazon, you will be out of business very soon. You can be a genius, you can be a genius R&D guy, but you'll be completely out of. So you need to understand this entire ecosystem, okay, right from not only a technical part, but even the non-technical part, how the business works, what the customer wants,
Correct.
how is the product developed.
Correct.
Okay, product development is a very, very important criteria in any of this industry. How do you design a product? How do you engineer a product? How do you can say manage once the product is made? How do you take it to the market? So this entire thing, at least we expect that the student should know about it.
Yeah.
May I add another angle to that?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
So, all organizations are like a pyramid. There is lesser space at the top. Okay. And therefore, by that example, even in technical hierarchy, as you move up the ladder, the spaces and the opportunities will keep on diminishing. Therefore, it is important for all technically oriented people to also have an understanding of other commercial aspects of operation of that organization, so that at any point of time, if they feel that they are stuck in somewhere in the hierarchy, they can move laterally and find a different way to the top.
Sure.
And really, what is seen in most organizations is an all-rounder would have the best chance to move to the top.
Absolutely. So, this thing that you mentioned about young engineers knowing overall business perspectives, one thing that I'd like to bring here is that at NAMTECH, we always try to teach our young engineers the basics of, say, project management, financial management. And I think the objective is, like you alluded, that the idea of understanding overall business needs. Why is a CXO demanding a certain metric or a certain dashboard? How does that feed into a business decision? These are things that we really want our young engineers and technologists to understand. Would you like to, uh, you know, tell us about what are those other topics that NAMTech should be covering or is already covering and can be done in more detail or in another fashion?
Sure. So I'll like to bring in an example over here. And this is true of most manufacturing industries, right? For example, industries run an innovation challenge. Okay. And within that innovation, you are supposed to form a team and then kind of come up with a very innovative idea, which has not been done, not been thought about, and then put it on a portal. And out of that, then it is reviewed by a review team, and then they come up with, oh, these ideas look very great. Till now, nobody has paid any attention towards whether it will be practically possible by available technology to be able to implement that, and all of those kind of stuff, they are still in the realm of imagination. Once those ideas are selected, you are put through a grind. Now you have to bring it to reality. Can you do the financial estimation of the future business potential? If you are successful in providing a future business potential, now you are the project manager. I'll give you the funding. Now make it happen. Okay.
Absolutely.
So for a successful individual, having all this multitude of skills together to be able to bring that to realization, and just imagine the uh, status of a person who has actually been through this whole grind and actually created something that did not exist in the past. So the joy of doing that kind of discovery and invention and then getting recognized for that is something very unique. And that can only happen if a person were to have all that overall aspect around what is it required to bring a new idea to life and make it available to whosoever wants to consume that particular technology. So this is a very fulfilling experience, and I would want every young engineer coming in to come in with that dream in his eyes
Right.
that I would be able to do this in my career.
One of the most important things for any individual is to work together. The interpersonal
Collaboration.
collaboration is extremely important today, because if you really have to rise up the ladder, you need this is one skill which you need to have. Okay, how do you work with other people? How do you manage teams? How do you be a part of the team at the same time manage teams? So these are some of the other things which will really help. And I think, mm, if NAMTech has not looked at this aspect, I'm sure this is something which you will look at.
Yeah, I think, in one of our modules, which is called the Yo-Yo Smart Manufacturing Experience. So we have a yo-yo class in which our students work in groups. They are supposed to take a yo-yo, a toy, create a drawing of that yo-yo, actually choose material, make the mold, produce the mold, and then manufacture 25, 30 yo-yos, and they have to do it in groups. So I think it does two things for the students. One is you learn the basics of manufacturing from design to complete make. Second, you are given a budget. So you have to also apply everything that you just mentioned. Is it even commercially possible to produce it within a certain budget? And third, I think, is amazing teamwork. Because the moment you have to do this as a team, you will have to rely on each other's skills. Somebody could be good at design, somebody could be good at that financial management aspect, and somebody else could be good at actually manufacturing 30 of those toys and then making it bounce, right? So this is an excellent module that we introduced with the help of MIT. MIT does this program in their mechanical engineering course back in their campus, and they sort of helped us introduce this as a 8-week module in our program.
So first thing first, we want people, young engineers, to come out with at least the basic understanding about how to operate those set of machineries which make, let us say, semiconductors. We need all of that, but we also need people who are oriented towards R&D, because going forward 5 years from now, 10 years from now, we will not make our mark on the world stage if we are not good at R&D and hold our own intellectual property.
Correct, absolutely.
That's my opinion.
With the intense competition which has come to companies. It's very, very important for companies to produce very efficiently. So there are many, many challenges. Okay. One of the challenges, can you produce goods or could be anything, food articles to the required quality?
Yeah.
Can you keep the factory running 365 days a year without a shutdown?
Correct.
Can you increase your throughput? Can you increase productivity?
Correct.
Can you reduce maintenance cost?
Yeah.
Can you reduce the usage of utilities, what you know use to produce those equipment? So
Absolutely.
all these are the pains which traditional industries see.
Go through. Yeah.
And when we talk about smart manufacturing, the smartness comes into picture by using IT, by using AI. You talk about ML, you talk about so many other things. You use these tools to increase the efficiency, to increase the productivity, increase the quality, increase the availability, and reduce the cost.
That's right.
So, if you really want to compete in the world market, if you want to compete even within the country, this is the way forward. Okay. You can always produce what you want. Okay. You
But if you
put the input, you run the machine, you get the output. But can you compete? Can you get good quality?
Absolutely.
Is what makes or breaks a business today.
As leaders in this industry, what would your advice be to a young engineer who's probably watching this video on his phone and thinking about his career?
With the right attitude, you will never have a dull time in your life.
Dr. Desai.
Okay, I would recollect the first time around 35 years back. I went to the US for 3 months to have a study tour of many of our production centers. So before leaving for the US, I had a meeting with my president. So he told me only one thing. He said, Hemal, don't worry about the technical part. We are much ahead of them in technicality. But please study how they do business, how they behave, how they, what are the processes, what are the business processes. Please study that. That is what we miss. And I'm sure with this excellent institute, what you have, uh, that gap, what we have been seeing all these years, will now be closed.
Thank you so much for your time. And I hope to have many more conversations like these with you.
Thank you so much for having us here.
Thank you
very much. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And we wrap up this wonderful conversation this evening. And I'm sure questions will come from students and they can keep asking us or keep sending us more queries, which we will divert to Dr. Desai and Mr. Redkar. And I'm sure they will be happy to answer any more questions or areas of concern that you may have. Thank you. Good evening.